Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Apex Investor. This is the update for Tuesday, September, actually September the 7th. So this is some items. There are some items I wanted to talk about that were from the weekend. There is a Twitter account called Meta Material News, and they're speculating on a potential link to Metamaterials and Oilco Holdings Incorporated. So, what is the connection here? I think the speculation seems to be that they're going to do a spinoff uh, from Torchlight into Oilco Holdings. This is again this a rumor. It says, "What is this all about?" Current shares. Okay, so this is very wild speculation, but there could be a spinoff that could happen. So I wanted to mention that in the outset, just to open with that. Breaking news, according to multiple sources, the CEO of Metamaterials name, George Pelikaras, is appearing under Oilco Holdings. This potentially means three things. Dividend is in the works, a potential spinoff for Torchlight, and Metamaterials partner, this name here, to use the land for geothermal use. So we'll see if that comes to pass. Okay, and this is pretty much the main uh, piece that I wanted to go to showcase on this update.
American short positions, but also
I'm going to just rewind it. So it's a 1 minute 36-second audio clip where apparently it is George Pelikaras discussing a short squeeze for metamaterials. Okay, here we go. Let's start from the beginning. Here it is.
if you notice, the Torchlight stock is massively shorted. Yeah. There are not only American short positions, but also international and naked short positions. This deal is set up not to give a cash dividend at closing. So in order for the short positions to cover, they have to have the stock on their hand because the dividend will be paid out as a preferred share, not cash. As a result, there is no physical way for the shorts to cover this stock when the time to close. And we believe, or at least we expect, that there will be, if the market conditions allow, a potential jump towards the close. We don't know by how much, and we don't know if it's going to happen, but we have seen other stocks that have experienced a massive increase towards such an event where the shorts have to, it's called a short squeeze. If you look at the statistics today, we are in the top 3 percentile globally for a short squeeze.
So I'm not sure when this was recorded, but he's talking about, okay, June 13th was when this was posted. So we're talking about almost 3 months ago. So this is before the merger. And Torchlight, according to George, according to the whoever was talking, and we're assuming it's George, they were in the top 3 percentile for potential short squeeze. And he was just alluding to it initially. He was calling it a significant jump and massive increase, and then he just went out and said it. He just, the cat came out of the bag and said short squeeze. It's gonna potential for short squeeze, and that was 3 months ago. I would venture to say, since that merger, since the dividend, since the reverse stock split, the chances of that is at least 10 times more. So if they were in the top 3%, they're probably in the top 1% and greater at this moment because, again, we can see it's kind of clear, it's self-evident, at least to me, that the short short sellers, naked shorts and so on, they've only doubled down or tripled down. They seem to be having a false sense of security that they can get away with this. So that's all I wanted to talk about regarding that. There's one article that I want to look at. It says, here's why metamaterial stock soared last Monday. It's from the Motley Fool of all places. So this is significant because the Motley Fool is a mainstream publication, and it says 32.9% it soared. And they're trying to explain, even though it's gained 32.9% only in August, what is keeping it. They're discussing the potential for a short squeeze. So it's saying in the month of September it's up 18.6% so far, and they're comparing it to support.com. However, it seems that many retail investors have abandoned that stock, or maybe not abandoned, but at least jump ship to other better opportunities, potential opportunities such as metamaterials. So I find this article just interesting in terms of getting putting the spotlight on metamaterials and getting the word out and drawing more attention to it for your average retail investor who may not even know that the metamaterials exists at all. It appears increased buying from investors aiming to trigger a short squeeze played the biggest role in the gains. So they're just relegating this to a meme stock, not understanding the full potential of this company. They talk about what they do on a very superficial level, but not really understanding what they do. So let's move on to Finviz and see what is going on. I haven't checked the market today, and yesterday I believe was a holiday. So let's get up to speed before the market opens later today. And we're going to look at what happens after it closes. So CRMD is the big loser today. Actually not down too much, only 22%. So, it seems like a pretty good day overall if that's the big loser. Just interested to see what this stock is. Battle? What is Battle? Oh, it's oil. Okay. Clover. Wow, Clover is up. That's great. I'm really pleased to see that. So Clover is up 22% today. Most active stock. So that is really preparing for a squeeze. It looks like 173 million today. That is quite a jump. So they didn't make the big winner list, but MTL is the big winner, 56%. And so Clover is under the radar. They are making headway, but they are under the radar. But they're up 22%. So that seems to be experiencing a significant turnaround right now. Okay. Oh, I didn't open that. Okay, let me just look at the trending stocks next. Okay, so the Dow is around 35,000 points. It is down almost 1%, but it is, in my opinion, healthy. Once it goes below 35,000, gets closer to 30, then that's cause for concern. But if it goes up to 40, then it's fine. Actually, that's great. Looks like, let's see here, the big movers and shakers. DD is up 7%. Metamaterials is, they had a not too bad day. They're at 546, but let's see what their day was like overall. QuantumScape, CCIV, actually no longer that. It's called Lucid now. Canaan 8TIF is up 14%. And Bitcoin is dropping. went down 11%. So it's at 46,000. There seems to be a dip going on. I want to take a closer look at that, see what's going on with that. And again, Clover is up to $10.80. That was a solid buy at $7 to $8. FTEG is up 40%. Penny stock. LMFA is down almost 10%. And closing out with AMC, they are up to $47.83, and GameStop is down to $199, just under $200 there. So, gonna go next to Twitter. Okay, it's been officially over a week since we've heard anything from George on his Twitter. So that is actually good. It's good and it's bad. It's good because the stock continues to rise despite the silence, but it's also not so great because we want to, have an update. We want to have a press release. Here's some good news. We have a new blog entry from Mr. Kowalski. It's been a while. Welcome back, sir. It's been almost a month. And we're going to take a look at Wall Street Bets as well and finish off with Metamaterials subreddit. So let's look at Metamaterials, how their day went. Okay, their volume was at 27 million, so just around the average. So that's pretty good. You don't want it too much below, too far off from the average. Their range was 512 to 570, so we finished closer to the high. And it did dip towards the opening and then recovered steadily as the trading session closed out. Bitcoin is down 11%. Let's look at the last month. Okay, I'm actually looking at the last 6 months. It's looking like 29 to 30,000 was your support level. And your resistance level is looking like 60. So that is quite a disparity. But 30,000 is really good support. It doesn't look like it's dropping below that anytime soon. Especially if you look at the last 5 years, it's pretty steady. You can count on this being above 10,000. Let's look at Clover's day. Clover had, again, 175 million volume. That really should have squeezed a lot more than it did today. It was trading between $9 to $11. So I think this is really being shorted tremendously. If we look at the last month, $7.50 was your buy price. That was your entry point. $7.50 to $8 is your entry point. I repeat, for Clover. I repeat, Clover entry point $7 to $8, but $7.50 is your entry point, and this is going right back up, I believe, to $20. It might be very soon. Okay, so that's all for that. Let's look at Wall Street Bets, and I'll let you know if there's anything going on there. Okay, we have a couple posts to look at. This is from Metamaterials subreddit. It says here, TLDR, the float is half of what we think it is, which means short interest of float is double. Skip to illustration at bottom if you want. The CEO of our favorite company has been busy playing 4D chess with the shorts, setting up a galactic bear trap. In this multi-part DD, I'm going to break down each dimension, hopefully in a way everyone can understand. I've even included some fancy illustrations. So I would like to start with potentially the most important breakthrough. Number one, the float is much smaller than we think. That means short interest percentage of the float is much higher than is being reported. Currently, the float is being reported as 231 million shares. After several sleepless nights and hours of crunching numbers to verify, I confidently announce that the real free float is only 109 million shares. Sources say right inside Metamaterials' own filings. So we know outstanding shares as of date reported on the last filing was 280 million shares. When you read the fine print, you see more details. So within 280 million outstanding shares, we have Both Meta shares trading on US exchanges and MMAX shares trading on Canadian exchange under an entirely different QSIP. MMAX is technically a subsidiary of Meta Materials. However, under an obscure tax law for Canadians, we present to you the exchangeable share structure. I'm not going to bore you with details, but if you'd like to read the tax law, there it is. So let's get this right. We have two entirely different stocks with entirely different QSIP numbers locked into their own individual exchanges, but we're only reporting one set of financials. Before you ask, this is not the same thing as cross-listing a stock like we have, like we have Meta and other companies trading on German exchanges. This is its own animal and only possible to do with the Canadian exchanges. Everything we know about outstanding shares, insider ownership, and free float is a lie, sort of. Well, back to the numbers. 280 million outstanding shares. Institutional ownership, this is tricky. After wasting a bunch of time looking at hundreds of 13Fs, the number was not that far off. It is roughly 18 million for institutional ownership. Insider ownership is also way off. The correct number is 53 million shares. One thing that makes this company different than your average publicly traded company, none of the Torch insiders sold their shares because of the merger. In fact, the CEO of Torchlight is now the CEO of Meta subsidiary MMAX. Wow. So we have Torchlight insiders and Meta insiders diamond handing their shares. So the last number we need to know is how many shares are locked into the Canadian exchange, because as of right now, these shares cannot be exchanged, although that is being worked on. These are shares that are being counted into the outstanding shares but cannot technically be sold or traded as Meta on US exchanges. Look up MMAX. You can easily find the ticker and the data for the outstanding shares for it. So shares outstanding 105 million. However, this number is just way too close to what Meta was before the merger. I think many websites just got lazy and kept the same stats. Well, MMAX does not have to release any filings unless it is something that only affects MMAX shareholders and not Meta Materials. So basically the next part was the hardest piece of the puzzle to solve. It was hidden in the deepest, darkest corner of the abyss, that is the internet. On the Cedar website, if you search MMAX or Meta Materials, you will find the information on those tickers and the filings, but not anything official on MMAX share counts. However, if you search every company starting with an M, this is what you see. Under Meta Material Incorporated, you find the defunct company that was Meta before the merger, which took the ticker to the US and changed Meta Materials to MMAX in the Canadian exchange. Notice the ceased reporting, making this basically like finding a needle in a haystack. This is where all the juicy info is. Okay, following the close of the merger, they had one and only one filing that shows how many shares went to Meta in the US and how many went to MMAX on the Canadian exchange. Here it is. So here's the take out the calculator. Free float is 109 million. And the illustration for apes. The float is wrong. 280 million shares outstanding. U.S. stock market says 180 million shares. Canadian stock market 100 million. Insider ownership 53 million. Institutions 18 million. Free float 109. So the real short interest of the free float is 20%. Now raise your hands. Who is confused? I can tell you anything. I can tell you anyone shorting the stock, assuming we have a free float of 230 million, is going to be in for an extremely unpleasant surprise when they go to cover and retail is diamond handing the 109 shares in the free float. Everyone's data is wrong. I would expect a slew of FTDs in the near future. Look at our volume. On the on-balance volume indicator suggests no one is selling yet. Yet we are trading. I hate when that pops up. Let me just minimize that. Yet we are trading over half the float on our high volume days. free float being wrong means we have an insanely higher percentage of our in-the-money calls / float. Gamma squeeze is going to be that much more powerful. Shorties are going to have a much, I never heard them refer to shorties. The shorts are going to, it's like a hip hop term. The shorts are going to have a much harder time finding shares soon. They are in trouble. I had a lot more I wanted to add to this post, but it was getting lengthy. I read way too many filings and feel like I'm an expert on this, so read my whole post. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, this was a really good post. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, but if this is true, this is only going to drive up this potential short squeeze. And I've read posts saying don't put all your hope in the short squeeze, and I agree with that. We shouldn't, because fundamentally, just as a company, just as a business, metamaterials is a very good investment, short squeeze or not. Okay, so I'm going to look at, going to read this new blog entry by Leszek Kowalski. It was posted 8 hours ago. So let's get to the meat of it. Usually has a preamble here. Okay. So this is, actually there's nothing here. There was nothing here, okay. Well, I don't know why you posted something if there's nothing here. Meta after hours. It's part of a larger format change. Meta Materials After Hours newsletter. Okay, so it seems to be a podcast. I don't see anything here. Okay, so I think I'll do another video on what's going on regarding this breaking news about an interview from yesterday. So I'm going to do a video on that. So thank you very much for your time. May God bless you and God bless your investments. This was the update for Monday and Tuesday, September 6th and September 7th.